Tash. Segment 1, opening performance and commentary intros. The show kicks off with the lights dimming and the crowd buzzing in anticipation. Suddenly, the arena explodes with energy as 50 Cent steps onto the stage, microphone in hand, ready to deliver a unique and unexpected performance. The beat drops, and to the surprise of everyone, 50 Cent begins a gritty, hip-hop infused cover of Mandy Moore's Candy. The blend of pop and rap gets the crowd hyped with fans on their feet, cheering and dancing along. Pyrotechnics light up the stage, adding to the spectacle as 50 Cent's charisma fills the arena. As the performance wraps up, the camera pans to the commentary desk, where Mr. Feeney, Jim Ross, Elvira, and Pauly Shore are seated, all visibly energized by the opening act. Mr. Feeney, ever the voice of reason, begins, "Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another thrilling episode of 1412 Wrestling. Tonight, we have an incredible lineup of matches, culminating in what promises to be an epic showdown for the 1412 Championship." Jim Ross, with his signature enthusiasm, chimes in. "That's right, Mr. Feeney. Tonight, we'll see Majin Buu defend his 1412 Championship against none other than Stone Cold Steve Austin. These two powerhouses are set to clash in a battle that could shake the very foundations of 1412 wrestling." Elvira, with a mischievous grin, adds, "But that's not all, folks. We've got a night filled with intense rivalries and championship matches. Katharine Isabelle will be defending her Divas Championship against Kimmy Gibbler. And if you thought that was enough, we've also got Scott Steiner going up against Weed Killer, a match that promises to be as brutal as it is bizarre." Pauly Shore, ever the wild card, pipes in, "Totally rad, dudes. And don't forget, Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan will be putting their tag team championships on the line against Corey Matthews and Sean Hunter. The 90s are back in full swing, and it's gonna be gnarly." Mr. Feeney continues, "And let's not overlook Desmond Hume stepping into the ring with the random kid who's managed by the one and only Bobby Heenan. That match is sure to bring its own brand of chaos." Jim Ross wraps up the intros. "We've got all this and more coming up tonight, folks. So sit tight, because 1412 Wrestling is about to take you on a wild ride." As the commentary team finishes hyping up the night's events, the camera cuts to a sweeping shot of the electrified crowd, the energy in the arena palpable. Palpable. The stage is set, the wrestlers are ready, and the night promises to be one for the history books. The screen fades to black as the show prepares to dive into the first match of the evening, setting the tone for what's sure to be an unforgettable episode of 1412 Wrestling. As the show returns from commercial, the camera cuts backstage where Grover is standing by with Desmond Hume for a pre-match interview. Desmond, dressed in his wrestling gear, exudes calm confidence, but there's an edge of determination in his eyes. Grover begins, "Desmond, tonight you face off against the random kid, who is managed by the legendary Bobby Heenan. How are you feeling going into this match?" Desmond nods thoughtfully before responding, "Grover, life is full of uncertainties, and this match is no different. But one thing I've learned is that fate always has a plan. Tonight, I'm here to prove that no matter the odds, no matter the distractions, I'm destined to come out on top." The camera then cuts to another part of the backstage area where Bobby Heenan is with the random kid, who is fidgeting with a steak knife and a marker in his hands. Heenan, ever the schemer, smirks as he addresses the camera. "Let me tell you something, Grover," Heenan begins, his voice dripping with arrogance. "Desmond Hume might think he's got fate on his side, but what he doesn't realize is that I'm the brain, and I always have a few tricks up my sleeve. The random kid here, he's unpredictable, he's ruthless, and tonight, he's going to make Desmond wish he'd stayed on that island." The random kid, with a mischievous grin, waves the steak knife and marker at the camera, adding an eerie touch to Heenan's words. The camera then cuts back to the arena as the lights dim and the crowd buzzes in anticipation. Daphne Blake steps into the ring, microphone in hand. "Ladies and gentlemen, the following contest is scheduled for one fall. Introducing first, accompanied by Bobby the Brain Heenan, the random kid." The arena fills with a mix of boos and curious murmurs as the random kid, a small and seemingly innocuous figure, makes his way to the ring. But his unsettling demeanor combined with Heenan's presence creates an uneasy atmosphere. The random kid enters the ring, glancing around with a twisted smile, while Heenan shouts instructions from ringside. And his opponent, Daphne continues, from the mysterious island, Desmond Hume. The crowd erupts in cheers as Desmond's music hits, and he makes his way down the ramp, focused and ready for action. He climbs into the ring, locking eyes with the random kid, unfazed by the unsettling aura surrounding his opponent. Jim Ross on commentary sets the stage. Desmond Hume is a man who's faced the unknown before, but tonight he's stepping into the ring with one of the most unpredictable opponents we've ever seen in 1412 wrestling. Elvira adds, the random kid may look harmless, but with Bobby Heenan guiding him, he's anything but. This match is going to be full of surprises. Pauly Shore, excited, says, totally wild, dudes. Desmond's got his work cut out for him tonight. The referee signals for the bell, and the match begins. Desmond and the random kid circle each other, with Desmond quickly taking the initiative. He moves in with a series of calculated strikes, trying to maintain control of the match. The random kid, however, proves to be an elusive and erratic opponent, ducking and dodging with surprising agility. Jim Ross calls the action. Desmond's trying to keep the match grounded, but the random kid's unpredictability is throwing him off. Elvira adds, Heenan's taught this kid well. He's using every trick in the book to stay one step ahead. Pauly Shore, cheering, says, totally awesome, dudes. This match is crazy. Despite the random kid's unorthodox tactics, Desmond's experience and determination begin to shine through. He counters the random kid's erratic moves with precise strikes and grapples, gradually wearing down his opponent. However, Bobby Heenan, ever the strategist, tries to interfere from ringside, shouting instructions and attempting to distract Desmond at every turn. Jim Ross warns Heenan's up to his old tricks again, trying to throw Desmond off his game. Elvira adds, Heenan's interference is always a factor. Desmond's going to need to keep his focus. Pauly Shore, hyping it up, says, come on, Desmond, you've got this, dude. As the match reaches its climax, Desmond catches the random kid with a perfectly timed drop kick, sending him crashing to the mat. Desmond quickly follows up with his signature move, the Fate Sealer, a spinning DDT, planting the random kid face first into the canvas. The crowd erupts as Desmond goes for the cover, and the referee counts. 1, 2, 3. Daphne Blake announces, here is your winner, Desmond Hume. Jim Ross exclaims, Desmond Hume secures the victory. What a performance. Elvira adds, Desmond's determination and skill have paid off. He set the tone for the night. Pauly Shore, cheering, says, totally rad, dudes. Desmond rocks. As Desmond begins to celebrate his hard-fought victory, the atmosphere quickly shifts. The random kid, clearly frustrated by his loss, snaps. He grabs the steak knife he had hidden in his tights and lunges at Desmond, catching him off guard. The crowd gasps as the random kid slashes at Desmond's arm, leaving a small but noticeable cut. Jim Ross shouts, oh my God, the random kid just attacked Desmond with a knife. This is madness. Elvira, shocked, says, that kid is dangerous. Someone needs to stop him. Pauly Shore, concerned, adds, this is totally messed up, dudes. Somebody get in there. Before Desmond can react, the random kid grabs the marker and starts drawing erratic lines and symbols all over Desmond's face, adding insult to injury. The crowd boos loudly as the random kid laughs maniacally, enjoying the chaos he's caused. Jim Ross continues, this is despicable. The random kid has completely lost it. Elvira adds, Heenan's influence has turned this kid into a monster. This isn't over. Pauly Shore, angry, says, not cool, dudes. Desmond didn't deserve that. Security rushes into the ring to pull the random kid away from Desmond, who's now sitting on the mat, dazed and bleeding slightly. Bobby Heenan, ever the opportunist, quickly ushers the random kid out of the ring, smirking as they retreat up the ramp. The camera cuts back to Desmond, who's being checked on by the referee and medical staff. Despite the assault, Desmond's expression hardens with resolve. He may have won the match, but it's clear that this rivalry with the random kid, under Heenan's influence, is far from over. As the show heads to another commercial break, the audience is left wondering what the future holds for Desmond Hume after this shocking and brutal post-match attack. The show returns from commercial break, cutting to a shot backstage where the random kid is seen gleefully urinating on Desmond Hume's gear bag. The camera captures the scene from a low angle, emphasizing the sheer disrespect of the act. The random kid, his twisted smile never leaving his face, finishes his deed and zips up his pants, all while chuckling to himself. Standing beside him, Bobby the Brain Heenan looks into the camera with a smug expression, holding a microphone in hand. Heenan is in his element, and it's clear he has something personal to say. He takes a deep breath as if relishing the moment before launching into his promo. You know, Devden, Heenan begins, his voice dripping with contempt. You like to talk about fate, destiny, and all that other garbage you've been spewing. But the truth is, you're just a washed-up nobody who got lucky once or twice. You think you're special because you survived an island? Please, I've seen tougher guys get broken in this business, and you're no different. Heenan pauses, letting his words sink in before continuing. You want to talk about fate, Desmond? Here's the reality. Fate didn't bring you to 1412 wrestling. I did. And I'm the one who's going to make sure you're humiliated, embarrassed, and run out of this company with your tail between your legs. You see, I'm not just the brain because I'm smart. I'm the brain because I know how to get inside people's heads. And right now, I'm living rent-free in yours. As Heenan speaks, the random kid begins to stomp on Desmond's gear bag, grinding it under his heel, further adding to the insult. Heenan notices and grins, clearly enjoying the kid's antics. You're nothing, Desmond, Heenan continues, his tone becoming more intense. You're a relic from a forgotten time, clinging to some misguided sense of purpose. But let me tell you something, pal. In this business, purpose doesn't mean a damn thing. It's about survival, and you're looking at the best survivor there is. The kid, right here, who just humiliated you in the ring, and now we're doing it again backstage. The random kid finally stops his assault on the bag and steps back, standing next to Heenan with a triumphant look on his face. Heenan gives him a proud nod before turning his attention back to the camera. So Desmond, what are you going to do about it? You think you can stop us? You think you can get your revenge? Let me give you a piece of advice. Don't bother. You're outclassed, outsmarted, and outnumbered. And the next time you step into the ring with the random kid, it's going to be your last. Heenan smirks one final time before tossing the microphone to the floor. The camera lingers on the duo for a moment, capturing their smug satisfaction before cutting back to the ring, leaving the audience with a sense of unease and anticipation for Desmond's eventual response to this blatant disrespect. Backstage at the 1412 Wrestling Arena, Commissioner Eric Matthews is standing in front of a bright neon-lit backdrop, holding a microphone and wearing his signature boyish grin. With his easygoing demeanor, Eric is ready to conduct a series of interviews with randomly selected members of the 1412 Wrestling roster. The topic of the day, the company's 401k plan. Eric, brimming with enthusiasm, begins the segment. Hey there, 1412 fans. I'm Commissioner Eric Matthews, and today we're going to have a little fun and see what our superstars think about the most important topic in any workplace, the 401k plan. Let's see what they have to say. First up, Spider-Man swings into the frame, landing gracefully next to Eric. Spider-Man is still in his full costume, his eyes wide behind his mask, clearly caught off guard by the question. Spider-Man, my man, Eric starts, barely holding back a laugh. What are your thoughts on the 1412 Wrestling 401k plan? You maxing out your contributions? Spider-Man tilts his head, clearly confused. I've been a little busy, with the whole saving the city thing. 401k? Is that some kind of new villain? Eric chuckles, trying to keep things light. Not exactly, Spidey. It's more about planning for your future. When you're not swinging between buildings and taking down bad guys. Spider-Man rubs the back of his head, still perplexed. Oh, right. Well, I guess I'll have to look into it. Maybe I can use it to fund a new web shooter or something. Eric nods, amused. That sounds like a plan, Spidey. Keep up the good work out there. Next, the camera cuts to Jason Voorhees, standing ominously in the hallway, his machete glinting in the dim light. Eric approaches cautiously, clearly a bit nervous, but determined to keep the segment going. Jason, my good man, Eric begins, his voice wavering slightly. What are your thoughts on the 401k plan here at 1412 Wrestling? Are you planning for the future? Jason simply stares at Eric, his hockey mask revealing nothing but cold, silent intimidation. The tension in the air is thick as Eric waits for a response that never comes. Well, it's never too late to start saving for retirement, Eric stammers, trying to lighten the mood. You never know when you might want to, hang up the machete and enjoy a quiet life by the lake or something. Jason's silence is deafening, and Eric quickly decides to move on, visibly relieved to escape the interaction. Okay, great chat, Jason. I'll catch you later. The next superstar to step up is the ever-energetic Bulk, who's Bulk, my man. Eric greets him with a high five, which Bulk enthusiastically returns. Bulk grins, flexing even harder. I've been bench pressing my investments, Commissioner. I'm all about gains in the gym and in my retirement fund. Eric laughs, clearly enjoying Bulk's enthusiasm. That's what I like to hear. Keep those gains coming, both in the ring and in the market. The segment continues with more humorous and varied responses from the roster. Ren, of Ren and Stimpy fame, rants about the complexities of retirement savings, while Stimpy plays with a calculator making beeping noises. The Tick, ever the hero, declares that his 401k contributions are his way of saving the future one paycheck at a time. Meanwhile, Pee Wee Herman interrupts with a squeaky-voiced exclamation of, I don't know what a 401k is, but it sounds fun. The final interview is with none other than Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen, who are warming up for their upcoming tag team match. Eric approaches them with a grin, excited to hear what these legends have to say. MJ, Scottie, you guys are the greatest on the court and in the ring, but how about in the financial world? How's the 401k looking? Jordan, always cool under pressure, smirks and says, Eric, we've been planning our moves both on and off the court for years. The 401k, that's just another slam dunk. Pippen nods in agreement, adding, we play the long game, Eric. Just like we dominated the NBA, we're making sure our future is secure too. Eric, clearly impressed, gives them a thumbs up. You guys are an inspiration on all fronts. Thanks for sharing, and good luck tonight. As the segment wraps up, Eric turns back to the camera with a big smile. Well, there you have it, folks. Even our superstars are thinking about the future in and out of the ring. Remember, it's never too early to start planning your own retirement. Take it from the best in the business. The camera cuts back to the 1412 arena where the crowd is buzzing with excitement for the upcoming Divas Championship match. The steel cage looms ominously around the ring, but this isn't your typical cage match. The ring announcer, Daphne Blake, steps forward holding the microphone with a confident smile as she begins the introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, the following contest is a fridge raid cage match, and it is for the 1412 Divas Championship. Daphne's voice echoes through the arena, and the crowd erupts in anticipation. The rules of this unique match are simple but bizarre. The fight takes place outside the cage, and the only way to win is to use a refrigerator to break into the cage, retrieve the Divas Championship belt from the center of the ring, and place the belt inside the refrigerator. Kimmy Gibbler's music hits, and the quirky, colorful challenger struts down the ramp to a mixed reaction from the crowd. Pushing a refrigerator dolly, Kimmy wears her signature mismatched outfit and a determined expression. Despite the odd stipulation, she seems ready for anything. The camera pans to the commentary team, who are already discussing the unpredictable nature of the match. Jim Ross is the first to weigh in. Folks, I don't think we've ever seen a match quite like this before. Kimmy Gibbler may be the underdog, but in a match like this, she just might surprise us all. Elvira adds with a chuckle, Kimmy's got a lot of heart, but she's stepping into the ring, well, outside the ring, with a champion who's not afraid to unleash her inner beast. As Kimmy approaches the steel cage, she surveys it carefully, strategizing her next move. But before she can make her move, the lights dim, and the ominous music of Katharine Isabelle, the reigning Divas champion, fills the arena. The atmosphere shifts as Katharine emerges from the backstage area, her eyes already glowing with a hint of her werewolf form. The crowd's reaction is a mix of awe and fear as Katharine confidently strides toward the cage, holding the Divas Championship belt high above her head. She's not just here to win, she's here to dominate. Mr. Feeney chimes in, his voice calm and analytical. Katharine Isabelle is a champion like no other. She's not just fighting to keep her title, she's fighting to prove that she's the most dangerous woman in 1412 wrestling. Pauly Shore, ever the hype man, adds, whoa, dude, Katharine is totally gnarly. Kimmy better watch out because that werewolf is going to be unleashed. The bell's signaling the start of the match. Katharine and Kimmy begin circling the outside of the cage, each looking for an opening. Fries, the tension in the arena is palpable as the two women size each other up. Kimmy, always resourceful, quickly maneuvers her dolly with the refrigerator attached, trying to find the best angle to attack the cage. But Katharine, with her heightened senses, is quick to close the distance. She lunges at Kimmy, forcing her to dodge and nearly knocking over the refrigerator in the process. The crowd gasps as Katharine, now partially transformed into her werewolf form, lets out a low growl, her eyes locked onto Kimmy. Kimmy's in trouble already. Jim Ross shouts, the tension evident in his voice. Katharine Isabelle isn't wasting any time. She's going right after her challenger. Kimmy stumbles back, trying to use the dolly as a shield, but Katharine's strength is overwhelming. With a powerful swipe, Katharine dents the metal frame of the dolly, sending Kimmy reeling. The champion is relentless, stalking Kimmy as she tries to regroup. In a desperate move, Kimmy pushes the dolly towards the cage, using the refrigerator as a battering ram. With a loud crash, she breaks through one of the cage's lower panels, creating a small opening. The crowd roars in approval as Kimmy scrambles to reach the belt, but Katharine quickly recovers and grabs Kimmy by the ankle, dragging her back. She was so close, Elvira exclaims. Kimmy almost had it, but Katharine's not going to let her off that easy. Katharine pulls Kimmy away from the cage, lifting her into the air and slamming her down onto the dolly with a thunderous impact. Kimmy cries out in pain, clutching her back as she struggles to get up. Katharine, now fully in werewolf form, lets out a ferocious howl, sending chills through the audience. Jim Ross's voice is filled with urgency. Good God Almighty, Katharine Isabelle is on a rampage. This could be the end for Kimmy Gibbler. With Kimmy down, Katharine turns her attention to the cage. She grabs the refrigerator and hoists it over her shoulder, showcasing her supernatural strength. She strides towards the cage, ready to finish the match, but Kimmy, with one last burst of energy, tackles Katharine from behind, causing her to drop the fridge. Kimmy's not done yet, Pauly Shore shouts, excitement in his voice. She's giving it everything she's got. The two women brawl on the outside of the cage, exchanging strikes and grapples. Kimmy, despite her injuries, manages to land a few solid punches on Katharine, momentarily dazing the champion. Seizing the opportunity, Kimmy shoves Katharine into the side of the cage, causing the structure to shake violently. Kimmy quickly grabs the refrigerator and tries to push it through the opening she created earlier. She reaches inside the cage, her fingers just inches from the belt, but Katharine, fueled by rage, lunges at her, slashing her claws across Kimmy's back. Kimmy screams in pain, collapsing to the ground as Katharine rips the fridge away from her. With Kimmy incapacitated, Katharine reverts to her human form, breathing heavily. She drags the refrigerator into the cage and grabs the Divas Championship belt from the center of the ring. With a smirk, she places the belt inside the refrigerator and slams the door shut, securing her victory. The bell rings, and Daphne Blake steps forward to make the announcement. Here is your winner, and still the 14-12 Divas champion, Katharine Isabelle. The crowd erupts in a mix of cheers and boos as Katharine stands tall, the refrigerator holding her championship at her feet. She looks down at Kimmy Gibbler, who is being attended to by medical staff, and sneers before letting out another werewolf howl, a final display of dominance. Jim Ross wraps up the match with his signature gravitas. Katharine Isabelle retains the Divas Championship, and she did it in brutal fashion. Kimmy Gibbler gave it her all, but in the end, the champion proved why she's the most dangerous woman in 14-12 wrestling. Elvira adds, "That was one wild match. Katharine Isabelle is a force to be reckoned with, and I'm sure this is just the beginning of her reign of terror." Pauly Shore, always ready with a quip, chimes in, "Dude, I don't think anyone's going to mess with a werewolf champion anytime soon." Kimmy put up a fight, but that was totally gnarly. As the camera pans out, showing Katharine Isabelle standing victorious in the ring with the steel cage surrounding her, the commentary team continues to hype up the rest of the night's events, leaving the audience on the edge of their seats for what's to come. The scene opens with a sweeping shot of the United States Capitol, the iconic dome standing tall under a bright, clear sky. The tranquility of the nation's capital is suddenly shattered as the camera cuts to the front steps of Congress, where Bars, the unhinged leader of the anti-boiled egg brigade, comes barreling up the steps with a determined, furious look on his face. Dressed in his usual wrestling gear, with a microphone in hand and a wild fire in his eyes, Bars is on a mission. As he reaches the top of the steps, he turns to the camera, pointing dramatically. This is it. This is where it all ends. The tyranny of boiled eggs in America stops today. His voice echoes off the marble buildings as he storms through the front doors, the camera following close behind. Inside, Congress is in session. The dignified atmosphere of the legislative body is abruptly disrupted as Bars bursts into the chamber, shoving past security and yelling at the top of his lungs. Listen up, you overpaid, underworked pencil pushers. I'm here to put an end to the greatest menace this country has ever faced, boiled eggs. The room falls silent as every politician, aide, and observer turns to stare at the wild-eyed wrestler who has just invaded their sacred space. Bars doesn't miss a beat. He marches up to the nearest podium, shoving a senator aside, and slams his fists on the wood. For far too long, you've ignored the real issues. You've passed laws, collected taxes, but you've done nothing about the vile, disgusting, stomach-turning boiled eggs that plague this nation. Bars shouts, his voice filled with righteous fury. He waves his arms wildly, as if trying to swat away invisible eggs, while the bewildered members of Congress look on in shock. One of the representatives, trying to regain control of the situation, approaches Bars cautiously. Sir, you can't just... Don't sir me, Bars interrupts, jabbing a finger in the representative's face. I'm here to speak for the people, for every man, woman, and child who has ever had their day ruined by the sight, the smell, or the taste of a boiled egg. And I demand, no, I insist, that boiled eggs be banned nationwide. The camera cuts to various shots of Congress members whispering among themselves, their expressions a mix of confusion, amusement, and concern. Security personnel hover near the edges of the room, unsure whether to intervene or let this bizarre situation play out. Bars, now completely in his element, launches into a full-blown tirade. Boiled eggs are a blight on this great country. They're rubbery, they're smelly, they're just plain wrong. And don't even get me started on those deviled eggs, an abomination. I'm here to make sure no American ever has to suffer the indignity of being offered a boiled egg at a picnic, at breakfast, or anywhere else ever again. He paces back and forth, continuing his rant. You've got the power to make real change, to do something that actually matters. Forget about healthcare. Forget about taxes. This is what's important. Ban boiled eggs now, or face the wrath of the anti-boiled egg brigade. As Bars finishes his tirade, the camera zooms in on his face, which is flushed with passion. He turns to the lawmakers once more, his voice dropping to a menacing whisper. This isn't just about eggs, people. This is about justice. This is about doing what's right. And if you don't act, I swear I'll bring the entire brigade right here, and we'll make sure every single one of you knows exactly how we feel about boiled eggs. The tension in the room is palpable, but before anyone can respond, Bars grabs the microphone from the podium and raises it triumphantly above his head. Boiled eggs will be no more. Long live the anti-boiled egg brigade. With that, he storms out of the chamber, leaving behind a stunned Congress, who are left to ponder the most unexpected and bizarre disruption they've ever encountered. The camera follows Bars as he exits the building, his mission seemingly accomplished, though perhaps not in the way he expected. As Bars strides confidently down the steps of Congress, the camera fades to black, leaving the viewers at home both entertained and bewildered by the sheer audacity and chaos of what they just witnessed. The segment serves as a reminder of the lengths Bars will go to in his crusade against boiled eggs and the absolute madness that follows him wherever he goes. The show returns from commercial break, and the camera immediately cuts to the commentary table, where Mr. Feeney, Jim Ross, Elvira, and Pauly Shore are seated. Mr. Feeney, looking particularly flustered, adjusts his glasses and tries to compose himself as he begins to speak. Well, folks, we just witnessed something truly unprecedented. I'm not even sure how to explain what Bars just did at Congress, but it seems. Mr. Feeney trails off, clearly struggling to find the words to make sense of the chaotic segment that just aired. He rubs his temples, visibly baffled by the sheer absurdity of what just transpired. Jim Ross, ever the professional, leans in to help. I think what Mr. Feeney is trying to say is that Bars has taken his crusade against boiled eggs to a whole new level. We've seen some wild things in 1412 wrestling, but storming Congress? That's a first even for us. Elvira chuckles, adding her own touch of dark humor. I've seen some strange protests in my time, but nothing quite like that. If anyone can turn an issue like boiled eggs into a national crisis, it's Bars. Meanwhile, Pauly Shore, who has been uncharacteristically quiet during the discussion, suddenly stands up on the commentary table, his face lighting up with a mischievous grin. You know what, bros? I think it's time to lighten the mood. Let's dance. Before anyone can react, Pauly starts busting out some energetic, goofy dance moves right there on the table. The crowd, always entertained by Pauly's antics, begins to cheer and clap along, the absurdity of the situation bringing some much-needed levity after the bizarre and intense segment with Bars. Mr. Feeney, still seated, looks up at Pauly with a mix of bewilderment and amusement. Pauly, what are you doing? Pauly, mid-dance, flashes a big grin and shouts, just feeling the vibes, Feeney. Sometimes you just gotta dance it out, bro. Jim Ross, chuckling, shakes his head. Only here in 1412 wrestling, folks. Where else could you go from storming Congress to dancing on the commentary table in the span of 5 minutes? But before the mood can lighten completely, the arena lights suddenly flicker and dim, casting an eerie glow over the crowd. A strange, distorted sound begins to play over the speakers, like the garbled static of a corrupted video game. The audience falls silent, sensing something ominous is about to happen. Out of nowhere, a glitching figure materializes near the entrance ramp, its form flickering and shifting as if struggling to maintain its shape. It's Missing No, the infamous glitch Pokemon, its appearance causing immediate chaos and confusion. The crowd erupts in screams and gasps as Missing No starts to move erratically, its digital, pixelated body surging toward the audience. Jim Ross, his voice filled with alarm, shouts, "Oh my God, what in the world is that? It's Missing No, and it's attacking the fans." Missing No begins to unleash its strange, glitchy powers on the audience, causing some members to glitch out of existence momentarily before reappearing in different parts of the arena. Chicks near Missing No start to levitate and distort, caught in its chaotic, reality-bending influence. Elvira, equally shocked, adds, "This isn't just a glitch, it's a full-on invasion. We need security out here, now." Pauly Shore, still standing on the table but no longer dancing, looks around in bewilderment. Whoa, dude, what the heck is that thing? It's like something straight out of a messed up video game. The situation quickly escalates as Missing No begins to move closer to the ring, its erratic movements creating ripples in reality wherever it goes. Fans near the ramp scramble to get out of its way, but the glitch Pokemon seems to thrive on the panic it's causing, growing more powerful as the chaos spreads. Mr. Feeney, now fully back to his authoritative self, stands up from the commentary table, trying to restore order. Everyone, remain calm. We need to get this under control. But before any semblance of order can be restored, Missing No glitches again, causing a massive energy surge that sends a wave of distortion through the arena. The lights flicker violently, and the screen briefly cuts to black before returning to show Missing No, standing in the center of the ring, its presence warping the very fabric of reality around it. As the camera zooms in on the terrifying figure of Missing No, the show abruptly cuts to commercial, leaving the audience on the edge of their seats, wondering how this digital nightmare will be resolved when the show returns. The show returns from commercial break, and the camera cuts to Mr. Feeney at the commentary desk, visibly trying to regain some semblance of normalcy after the chaotic encounter with Missing No. Ladies and gentlemen, Feeney begins, his tone steady. During the commercial break, Missing No mysteriously vanished from the arena. We're not sure where it went or if it will return, but for now, it seems the situation is under control. Jim Ross adds, "That was one of the most bizarre things we've ever witnessed here in 1412 wrestling, but the show must go on." And up next, we've got a clash of eras as Dr. D. David Schultz takes on none other than Abraham Lincoln. The camera transitions backstage to a dimly lit interview area where Grover, microphone in hand, stands between David Schultz and Abraham Lincoln. The tension is palpable as the two competitors face off, both towering over the small blue Muppet. Grover, ever the professional, begins the interview with a cheerful tone. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here with Dr. D. David Schultz and President Abraham Lincoln. Gentlemen, tonight you'll be going head to head in what promises to be an epic battle. Mr. Lincoln, how do you feel about facing a man like David Schultz? Abraham Lincoln, standing tall in his black suit and stovepipe hat, addresses the camera with his deep, authoritative voice. I have faced great trials in my life, from the Civil War to the struggle for emancipation. This match is but another challenge, and like those before it, I shall face it with courage, dignity, and resolve. Dr. Schultz may be a formidable opponent, but I have the strength of a united people behind me. David Schultz sneers at Lincoln's words, clearly unimpressed. Save your speeches for the history books, Abe. This ain't the battlefield, and you ain't delivering no Gettysburg Address tonight. You're stepping into the ring with a real man, a man who don't back down from nothing or nobody. I'm going to show you what real power is, and it ain't in your fancy words. Grover, sensing the growing animosity, tries to steer the conversation back to the match. Mr. Schultz, you seem very confident. How do you plan to take down someone with the strength and endurance of President Lincoln? Schultz smirks, turning his gaze down to Grover. You want to know how I'm going to do it, Little Blue? The same way I've done it my whole life, with these two fists and a whole lot of guts. Lincoln might be tall, but he's going to fall, just like everyone else who stepped in my way. Grover nods, visibly intimidated, but still maintaining his composure. Well, it sounds like we're in for quite the battle tonight. Thank you both for your time. Before Grover can finish, Schultz suddenly reaches out and slaps Grover across the face, sending the Muppet stumbling backward. Schultz leans in, his voice dripping with condescension. Did that feel fake to you, Grover? Huh? Just like everything else around here, I'm as real as it gets. Grover, clutching his cheek, looks up at Schultz with wide eyes, clearly shaken by the unexpected assault. Lincoln steps forward, his expression darkening as he glares at Schultz. That was uncalled for, Lincoln says, his voice stern. You've shown your true colors, Dr. Schultz. But in the ring, it will be your actions that define you, and I shall ensure that justice prevails. Schultz scoffs, turning on his heel and storming out of the interview area, clearly unfazed by Lincoln's words. Lincoln watches him go, his resolve only strengthening as he turns to follow Schultz toward the ring. The camera transitions to the arena, where the crowd is buzzing with anticipation. The lights dim, and the sound of an old-fashioned fife and drum march begins to play, signaling the entrance of Abraham Lincoln. The audience erupts in cheers as the 16th President of the United States steps out onto the stage, his tall, imposing figure casting a long shadow. Lincoln raises a hand in acknowledgement of the crowd before making his way down the ramp with measured, deliberate steps. As Lincoln enters the ring, the music shifts to a more aggressive, rock-driven tune, heralding the arrival of David Schultz. Schultz storms down the ramp, his face set in a scowl, clearly eager to get the match underway. He slides into the ring and immediately gets in Lincoln's face, the tension between the two men crackling in the air. The bell rings, and the match begins with Schultz charging at Lincoln, attempting to overpower him with sheer aggression. Schultz throws a series of wild punches, but Lincoln, with his towering reach and surprising agility, manages to block and counter using his long limbs to keep Schultz at bay. The match quickly turns into a hard-hitting, back-and-forth brawl, with both men refusing to give an inch. Schultz's brute strength is on full display as he slams Lincoln into the turnbuckle, driving his shoulder into Lincoln's midsection repeatedly. But Lincoln, resilient as ever, fights back with powerful segment 7. But Lincoln, resilient as ever, fights back with powerful strikes of his own, using his height advantage to deliver crushing blows to Schultz's head and shoulders. The crowd is fully engaged, rallying behind Lincoln as he mounts a comeback. Schultz, refusing to back down, counters with a vicious clothesline that sends Lincoln crashing to the mat. Schultz smirks, believing he has the match in hand, but Lincoln slowly rises to his feet, determination burning in his eyes. Lincoln seizes the momentum, launching into a series of devastating moves that leave Schultz reeling. He lifts Schultz high into the air and delivers a thunderous suplex, shaking the ring with the impact. The crowd roars in approval as Lincoln signals for his finisher, a powerful choke slam that has become his trademark move in the ring. Schultz, dazed and barely able to stand, stumbles toward Lincoln, who catches him by the throat. With a mighty roar, Lincoln lifts Schultz into the air and slams him down with all the force he can muster. The referee drops to the mat, and Lincoln covers Schultz for the pin. 1, 2, 3. The bell rings, and Abraham Lincoln is declared the winner. The audience explodes in cheers as Lincoln rises to his feet, victorious. He stands tall in the center of the ring, his hand raised high by the referee, a symbol of strength, endurance, and justice. But even in victory, Lincoln remains dignified. He glances down at Schultz, who is still recovering on the mat, and offers a nod of respect. Lincoln's message is clear. The battle may be over, but the spirit of fair competition and respect for one's opponent endures. As Lincoln exits the ring, the camera lingers on Schultz, who slowly pulls himself up, a look of frustration on his face. He may have lost the battle, but it's clear that Schultz isn't finished with 14-12 wrestlings, and this clash of eras might just be the beginning. The camera then cuts to a wide shot of the arena as the crowd continues to cheer for Lincoln, their spirits lifted by the powerful display they've just witnessed. The show prepares to move on to the next segment, leaving the audience buzzing with excitement. The scene cuts to a cozy backstage area set up like a small bar, complete with a counter, stools, and a few scattered beer mugs. The area is designed to feel like a throwback to Norm Peterson's days at Cheers, offering a comforting and familiar setting. Seated at the bar is Norm Peterson, his iconic beer in hand, looking as relaxed as ever. Standing next to him, microphone in hand, is Grover, who is eager to learn more about the beloved 14-12 wrestling star. Ladies and gentlemen, Grover begins with his usual cheerfulness, I'm here with Norm Peterson, one of the most beloved figures in all of 14-12 wrestling. Norm, everyone knows you from your days at Cheers, but can you tell us a little more about what brings you to 14-12 wrestling and what your goals are here? Norm takes a long sip of his beer, savoring the moment before responding. Well, Grover, after all those years of sitting on a bar stool, I figured it was time to stretch my legs and see if I could make a splash in a different kind of ring. Wrestling's been a lot of fun so far, and it's got its perks. Free beer in the locker room isn't bad either. Grover chuckles at Norm's response. I'm sure the fans would love to know. What are your goals here in 14-12 wrestling? Norm leans back on his stool, rubbing his chin thoughtfully. Grover, I've never been one for big ambitions. But I do think it'd be nice to win a few matches, have some fun, and maybe, just maybe, take home a championship. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. I'm just here to enjoy the ride and see where it takes me. Grover nods, clearly enjoying the laid-back conversation. Well, Norm, the fans are certainly behind you, and we're all excited to see what you do next in the ring. Before Norm can respond, the peaceful vignette is suddenly shattered by a loud crash. The camera quickly pans to the side, where Rito Revolto, the skeletal, menacing villain from the Power Rangers universe, bursts into the scene. With his bone sword in hand and a menacing grin on his face, Rito immediately grabs Grover by the collar, pulling him close. You think this is all fun and games, huh? Rito snarls, his voice dripping with venom. You think 14-12 wrestling is just a place for washed-up barflies to come and relive their glory days? Norm, caught off guard, quickly rises from his stool, putting himself between Rito and Grover. Hey, back off, Rito. This was just a friendly chat. But Rito is far from done. He shoves Grover to the side, sending the Muppet tumbling to the floor, and turns his full attention to Norm. You think you're some kind of big shot because you had a couple of laughs on a sitcom? This is the real deal, Norm. This is 14-12 wrestling, where only the strongest survive. Norm, trying to diffuse the situation, holds up his hands. Look, Rito, I'm just here to have a good time. No need to get all worked up. But Rito is having none of it. He lunges forward, slamming Norm against the bar with a vicious elbow strike. Norm winces in pain, but before he can recover, Rito grabs him by the shirt and pulls him in close. You're just another washed-up nobody, Peterson. You're in my world now, and I'm going to make sure everyone knows just how pathetic you really are. With that, Rito throws Norm to the floor, standing over him menacingly. He turns to the camera, pointing his bone sword directly at the lens. And this goes for all of you so-called stars in 1412 wrestling. I'm sick of the jokes, the games, and the has-beens. I'm here to bring real fear back to this ring. And if anyone gets in my way, they're going to end up just like Norm here, face down on the ground, wondering what hit him. The camera zooms in on Rito's skeletal face as he snarls at the audience, his eyes burning with rage. 1412 wrestling has been a circus for too long, but that's about to change. I'm taking over, and I don't care who I have to crush to do it. As Rito finishes his scathing promo, he gives one last kick to Norm, who groans in pain on the floor before storming out of the scene. The camera then pans back to Grover, who cautiously approaches Norm, clearly shaken by the unexpected attack. Norm, are you okay? Grover asks, his voice filled with concern. Norm, still wincing, slowly pushes himself up to a sitting position. Yeah, I'll be fine, Grover. Guess I'll have to take my lumps if I'm going to make it in this business. Grover, ever the optimist, helps Norm to his feet. We're all behind you, Norm. And don't worry, we know you'll bounce back from this. The segment ends with Grover and Norm slowly making their way out of the scene, Grover offering words of encouragement as Norm rubs his sore back. The attack by Rito Revolto has left a dark cloud over the lighthearted vignette, but it's clear that Norm isn't going to back down from the challenge. The stage is set for a potential rivalry that could see Norm stepping up in ways no one expected. The camera fades out, leaving the audience wondering what kind of retaliation Norm might have in store for Rito, and how this unexpected attack will shape the future of 1412 wrestling. The lights in the 1412 wrestling arena dim, and the unmistakable sound of Scott Steiner's trademark siren blares through the speakers, signaling the arrival of Big Papa Pump himself. The crowd erupts in a mix of cheers and boos as Steiner makes his way down the ramp, his muscles bulging beneath his chainmail headdress, flanked by his rabid tigers on chains. The tigers snarl and snap at anyone who dares to come too close, creating an atmosphere of sheer chaos and unpredictability. Jim Ross, with his signature excitement, exclaims, "By God, here comes Scott Steiner! And he's brought his tigers with him. This is going to be one wild match, folks." Elvira, always adding a touch of dark humor, chimes in, "I love a man with a wild side, but Steiner's tigers might be taking it a bit too far. Let's hope the ring holds up." As Steiner enters the ring, he flexes his massive biceps and shouts at the crowd, hyping himself up for the battle ahead. His tigers are left at ringside, growling and pacing as they keep a close eye on the action, adding an extra layer of danger to the already tense atmosphere. The lights then shift to a sickly green hue as Weedkiller's ominous theme music begins to play. The crowd's mood changes as Weedkiller emerges from the backstage area, his presence bringing a sense of dread to the arena. He walks with a menacing calmness, carrying a large sprayer on his back and staring daggers at Steiner as he approaches the ring. Mr. Feeney, always the voice of reason, tries to keep things in perspective. This match is not just about power, it's about survival. Scott Steiner has his tigers, but Weed Killer is no pushover. He's a dangerous man, and he's here to prove it. Weed Killer climbs into the ring, his eyes locked on Steiner. The two men stare each other down, neither willing to back off. The tension in the arena is palpable as the referee signals for the bell to start the match. As soon as the bell rings, Steiner charges at Weedkiller, launching into a flurry of powerful punches and forearms, showing off his brute strength. Weedkiller tries to counter with a few well-placed strikes of his own, but Steiner's sheer power overwhelms him. Steiner throws Weedkiller into the ropes and catches him on the rebound with a devastating belly-to-belly suplex, sending Weedkiller crashing to the mat. Weedkiller, however, is not one to go down easily. He quickly rolls out of the ring, attempting to regroup. But as soon as he steps outside, Steiner's rabid tigers lunge at him, snapping and snarling, forcing Weedkiller to scramble back into the ring to avoid being mauled. Elvira laughs, clearly enjoying the chaos. Those tigers are making sure Weedkiller stays in the ring. I guess there's no running from Steiner tonight. The match continues with Steiner dominating Weedkiller, using his powerful suplexes and slams to wear down his opponent. Just as it seems Steiner has the match in hand, the arena is suddenly bathed in an eerie red glow. Nuclear Spawn, a monstrous figure from the depths of the underworld, emerges from the crowd, climbing over the barricade and stalking toward the ring. The crowd gasps as Nuclear Spawn makes his way to ringside, his eyes locked on Steiner. Jim Ross shouts, "What in the world is Nuclear Spawn doing here? This can't be good for Steiner." Nuclear Spawn attempts to interfere in the match, reaching up to grab Steiner by the leg as he stands over Weed Killer. But Steiner, ever the veteran, kicks Spawn off the apron and turns his attention back to Weed Killer, determined to finish the match. Weed Killer seizes the momentary distraction to launch a desperate counterattack, spraying Steiner with a blast of noxious chemicals from his sprayer. Steiner stumbles back, momentarily blinded, but his rage quickly overrides any pain or disorientation. With a roar, Steiner charges at Weed Killer, delivering a brutal clothesline that nearly takes Weed Killer's head off. Steiner then signals for his finishing move, the Steiner Screwdriver, as the crowd watches in anticipation. He lifts Weed Killer high into the air, holding him aloft for a moment before driving him down into the mat with devastating force. The referee drops to the mat to make the count. 1, 2, 3. The bell rings and Scott Steiner is declared the winner. The crowd erupts in a mix of cheers and boos as Steiner stands tall, victorious, his tigers roaring in approval at ringside. But the celebration is short-lived. Nuclear Spawn, infuriated by his failed interference, suddenly attacks Steiner's tigers. The crowd gasps in horror as Nuclear Spawn begins assaulting the animals, striking them with vicious blows. The tigers yelp in pain, their ferocity momentarily subdued by the sheer brutality of Nuclear Spawn's attack. Steiner, seeing his beloved tigers under assault, flies into a rage. He storms out of the ring and confronts Nuclear Spawn, shouting a torrent of insults at the monstrous intruder. "You son of a bitch! You dare touch my tigers! I'll rip you apart with my bare hands, you freak!" Nuclear Spawn, unfazed by Steiner's threats, merely snarls in response, his eyes glowing with malicious intent. The two men are on the verge of an all-out brawl when suddenly a commotion erupts in the crowd right behind the commentary table. A man in the audience, seemingly oblivious to the chaos unfolding in the ring, casually lights a cigarette and takes a puff. Mr. Feeney, ever the disciplinarian, spots the man and immediately loses his composure. "What in the world do you think you're doing?" Mr. Feeney shouts, pointing an accusatory finger at the man. "This is a wrestling event, not a smoking lounge. Put that out immediately." The man, caught off guard by Mr. Feeney's outburst, sheepishly extinguishes his cigarette, but the damage is done. The crowd, caught between the chaos in the ring and the spectacle at the commentary table, can't help but laugh at the absurdity of the situation. Jim Ross, trying to bring the focus back to the action, says, "Folks, we've got a lot going on here tonight, but the main story is Scott Steiner standing tall, even with all this madness around him." Elvira, still chuckling at Mr. Feeney's reaction, adds, "I've seen a lot of things, but I never thought I'd see Mr. Feeney lose his mind over a cigarette. This night just keeps getting crazier." The segment ends with Steiner glaring at Nuclear Spawn, the tension between them at an all-time high, while Mr. Feeney, still fuming, tries to regain his composure. The camera fades to black as the show cuts to a commercial break, leaving the audience eager to see what will happen next in this wild night of 1412 wrestling. The scene shifts back to the 1412 wrestling arena, where the crowd is buzzing with anticipation for the next match. The highly anticipated 1412 Laser Gun Surfing Battle Championship. The lights dim as the spotlight shines on the entrance ramp. First up is the champion, Eye Guy, who emerges from the darkness with his multitude of eyes glowing eerily, scanning the crowd with a sense of omnipresence. The unsettling presence of Eye Guy sends chills through the audience as he approaches the ring, ready to defend his title. The camera cuts to the backstage area where Eye Guy is delivering his pre-match promo. His voice echoes with a sinister edge. "I am the Eye Guy, the all-seeing, the all-knowing. None can escape my gaze, and tonight I shall keep my title by any means necessary. Shredder, Doug Funny, you are nothing but pawns in my game. I see your weaknesses, and I will exploit them." Next up, the Anti-Boiled Egg Brigade theme music blares through the speakers as Doug Funny makes his entrance, accompanied by the entire brigade. Bars, Cliff O'Malley, Donkey Lips, Lola Bunny, BB Rexa, Jackie Chan, Earl Sinclair, Sugar Shane Helms, Spopovich, and Akeem the African Dream. "Doug, looking uncharacteristically confident, heads to the ring flanked by his comrades. Before entering, Doug takes a moment to address the audience and his opponents. You know, I've been underestimated my whole life, but not tonight. With the anti-boiled egg brigade by my side, I'm going to show the world that Doug Funny is more than just a cartoon character. I'm a champion in the making. Aye, guy, Shredder, you better be ready because I'm coming for that title. Finally, the arena plunges into darkness once more as the ominous theme music of Shredder fills the air. The menacing leader of the Foot Clan steps out onto the ramp, his face twisted in fury. Shredder is clearly still seething from Leonardo's betrayal last week, and his anger is palpable as he marches toward the ring. Shredder's promo is delivered with pure venom. Leonardo, you traitor! You dare to turn your back on the Foot Clan? And Chandler Bing, of all the incompetent, annoying fools I've had to endure, you are the worst. Tonight, I take my anger out on anyone in my way. I Guy Doug Funny, prepare to be crushed under the might of the Shredder. With all three competitors now in the ring, the tension is thick. The referee signals for the bell, and the match begins. The unique nature of the Laser Gun Surfing Battle Championship adds an extra layer of excitement, with the competitors balancing on their laser-equipped surfboards while trying to knock each other out of the ring. The action is fast and furious from the start. Guy uses his numerous eyes to anticipate and dodge incoming attacks, firing off precise laser blasts at his opponents. Doug Funny, surprisingly agile, manages to evade Guy's shots while returning fire with his own laser, showing a level of skill no one expected. Meanwhile, Shredder, fueled by his rage, charges forward aggressively, using both his surfboard and his laser to dominate the ring. As the match progresses, it becomes clear that Shredder's anger is driving him to fight with even more intensity than usual. He takes out his frustration on Doug Funny, knocking him off his surfboard with a powerful blast, sending him crashing into the ropes. Guy tries to capitalize on this by targeting Shredder with a barrage of lasers, but Shredder's sheer determination keeps him in the fight. Just as it seems like Guy is gaining the upper hand, the arena is suddenly flooded with members of the Foot Clan. Bebop, Rocksteady, Taka, Razar, and, of course, the ever-annoying Chandler Bing. Chandler, desperate to prove his worth to Shredder after the debacle with Leonardo, dives into the fray, creating a chaotic scene as he attempts to interfere in the match. Chandler's interference proves to be the turning point. With Guy momentarily distracted by the onslaught of Foot Clan members, Shredder seizes the opportunity to deliver a devastating laser blast that sends Guy tumbling off his surfboard. Doug Funny, now back on his feet, tries to take advantage of the chaos, but Chandler blindsides him with a well-timed attack, ensuring that Shredder remains in control. With a final, powerful strike, Shredder blasts Doug Funny off his surfboard and out of the ring. The referee counts Doug out, and Shredder is declared the winner of the match, securing the 14-12 Laser Gun Surfing Battle Championship. The Foot Clan floods the ring, celebrating Shredder's victory as he holds the championship belt high, a look of satisfaction finally crossing his face. But the celebration is short-lived. Suddenly, the entrance ramp explodes in segment 10. But the celebration is short-lived. Suddenly, the entrance ramp explodes in a shower of sparks as General Manager Rita Repulsa storms onto the stage, accompanied by Grumblebee, Slippery Shark, Goldar, King Sphinx, Scorpina, and a handful of putty patrollers. Rita's voice booms through the arena as she points her staff at the ring. Shredder, you and your pathetic Foot Clan think you can just take whatever you want? Well, not on my watch. Guy may have lost the battle, but the war is far from over. Attack. At Rita's command, her monstrous minions rush the ring, joining Guy in an all-out assault on the Foot Clan. The anti-boiled egg brigade, still at ringside, finds themselves caught in the crossfire as the ring devolves into absolute chaos. Lasers fly, surfboards are smashed, and bodies are sent crashing into the ropes as the two factions collide. The brawl spills out of the ring, with wrestlers, monsters, and stable members battling all around the ringside area. The commentary team struggles to keep up with the action as the camera cuts to various angles, capturing the sheer mayhem that has erupted. By God, it's a war zone out here, Jim Ross shouts, barely able to contain his excitement. Rita Repulsa has unleashed her entire arsenal on the Foot Clan and the anti-boiled egg brigade, Elvira adds with a dark chuckle. This is the kind of chaos I live for. I don't know who's going to come out on top, but it's going to be one hell of a fight. As the battle rages on, various members of the 412 wrestling roster and staff rush the ring in an attempt to restore order. The scene is one of pure pandemonium, with punches, kicks, and laser blasts flying in every direction. Just when it seems like the chaos might finally be under control, another wave of fighters enters the fray, reigniting the battle with even more intensity. The segment comes to a close as the camera captures a final, chaotic shot of the ring surrounded by brawling wrestlers, monsters, and staff members. The arena is a sea of bodies, all locked in a desperate struggle for dominance. The camera fades to black as the show cuts to commercial, leaving the audience breathless and eager to see how this massive brawl will be resolved. See. The energy in the 1412 wrestling arena reaches a fever pitch as the next match is set to begin. The 1412 Tag Team Championships are on the line, and the challengers, Corey Matthews and Sean Hunter, are ready to take on the dominant champions, Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan. The arena lights dim slightly as the iconic I Believe I Can Fly starts playing, signaling the entrance of the reigning champions. The crowd erupts in a mix of cheers and excitement as Pippen and Jordan, decked out in their Chicago Bulls-inspired gear, confidently stride down the ramp, the championship belts gleaming around their waists. Jim Ross, with his signature enthusiasm, sets the stage for the match. Folks, we've got a classic David versus Goliath story here tonight. Corey Matthews and Sean Hunter, two underdogs with a lot of heart, are taking on arguably the greatest tag team champions in 1412 wrestling history, Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan. As Pippen and Jordan enter the ring, they hand their championship belts to the referee, who raises them high to signify what's at stake. The crowd cheers even louder when the familiar theme of Boy Meets World begins to play, and Corey Matthews and Sean Hunter make their entrance. The two best friends are brimming with enthusiasm and determination, their eyes locked on the task ahead. Despite being the underdogs, Corey and Sean have a strong following in the crowd, with fans chanting their names as they make their way to the ring. Elvira chimes in with her usual wit. You've got to love the heart these two have. Corey and Sean may not have the height, the reach, or the experience of Jordan and Pippen, but what they do have is an undeniable bond and a lot of guts. Once both teams are in the ring, the referee signals for the bell, and the match is underway. Corey Matthews starts off against Scottie Pippen, and right from the beginning, it's clear that Pippen's physicality is going to be a challenge for the smaller Corey. Pippen quickly gains the upper hand, using his height and reach advantage to keep Corey at bay with powerful strikes and well-executed grapples. But Corey is nothing if not resilient. He ducks under a clothesline from Pippen and manages to hit a quick dropkick, momentarily staggering the champion. Corey quickly tags in Sean Hunter, who rushes into the ring with a burst of energy. Sean capitalizes on Corey's momentum, delivering a series of fast-paced strikes to Pippen, keeping the big man off balance. The crowd rallies behind Sean as he attempts a high-risk move, leaping off the top rope with a crossbody, but Pippen's veteran instincts kick in, and he catches Sean midair, transitioning smoothly into a powerful slam that leaves Sean winded on the mat. Jim Ross shouts, "What a counter by Scottie Pippen." These champions are proving why they've held onto those belts for so long. With Sean down, Pippen tags in Michael Jordan, who enters the ring with the same level of intensity and focus that made him a basketball legend. Jordan methodically works over Sean, using his superior athleticism to dominate the smaller challenger. He locks Sean in a tight headlock, wearing him down while keeping him away from his corner and the possibility of tagging in Corey. Despite the punishment, Sean refuses to give up. The crowd begins to chant his name, willing him to fight back. Summoning all his strength, Sean powers out of Jordan's hold with a series of elbow shots to the midsection. He breaks free and dives toward his corner, tagging in Corey Matthews just as Jordan lunges to stop him. Corey storms back into the ring, adrenaline pumping, and immediately goes on the offensive. He catches Jordan off guard with a flurry of quick strikes, followed by a swinging neckbreaker that brings the crowd to their feet. Corey's relentless attack seems to be paying off as he climbs to the top rope, preparing for a high-risk move. He leaps off with a diving elbow, aiming squarely for Jordan's chest. But at the last moment, Jordan rolls out of the way, and Corey crashes to the mat. Seizing the opportunity, Jordan tags Pippen back in, and the two champions quickly go to work. They lift Corey to his feet and whip him into the ropes, setting him up for their devastating alley-oop finisher. As Corey rebounds off the ropes, Pippen hoists him into the air, and Jordan leaps up, catching Corey in midair and slamming him down with an emphatic alley-oop finisher. The move is perfectly executed, and the impact leaves Corey sprawled on the mat, unable to recover. The referee drops to the mat and counts. 1, 2, 3. The bell rings, and the match is over. Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan have successfully retained their 14-12 Tag Team Championships. Daphne Blake, the ring announcer, declares the champions. Here are your winners, and still the 14-12 Tag Team Champions, Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan. As Pippen and Jordan celebrate their victory, Corey and Shawn, though clearly disappointed, slowly make their way to their feet. The champions extend a hand to the challengers, showing respect for the fight they brought to the ring. Corey and Shawn shake hands with Pippen and Jordan, a sign of sportsmanship that the crowd greatly appreciates. Elvira comments, "You've got to hand it to Corey and Shawn. They gave it everything they had, and they came up just short. But in the end, the champs were just too much." Jim Ross adds, "That's right, Elvira. Corey and Shawn showed a lot of heart tonight, but Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan are on another level. What a match." The segment ends with the camera capturing the image of Pippen and Jordan holding their championship belts high as they exit the ring, leaving Corey and Shawn to reflect on their valiant effort. The crowd gives Corey and Shawn a round of applause as they walk back up the ramp, heads held high despite the loss. As the camera fades to black, the commentary team hypes up the rest of the night's action, promising more exciting matches and shocking moments still to come on this action-packed episode of 14-12 Wrestling. The camera cuts to the backstage area of the 14-12 Wrestling Arena, where Grover, ever the enthusiastic interviewer, is standing by with a microphone in hand. The backdrop behind him displays the vibrant and chaotic logo of 14-12 Wrestling, setting the tone for the intense night ahead. Grover's voice is filled with excitement as he begins to speak. "Hello, everyone. Grover here, and I'm joined by none other than the 14-12 champion, Majin Buu." The camera pans out to reveal Majin Buu, the towering, pink, and menacing figure who has dominated the 14-12 wrestling scene for some time now. His wide, toothy grin spreads across his face as he gazes down at Grover, who is nearly trembling in the presence of the champion. "Boo, tonight, you're defending your 14-12 championship against Stone Cold Steve Austin. How are you feeling heading into this match?" Grover asks, holding the microphone up to Boo. "Boo feel great, Grover. Boo is strongest. Stone Cold thinks he can beat Boo? Ha! Boo will crush Stone Cold like a bug. Boo is unstoppable. Boo will smash, bash, and crash Stone Cold until there's nothing left." The confidence and arrogance in Boo's voice are palpable. His fists clench as he speaks, emphasizing the destruction he plans to bring to the ring later tonight. Boo will show everyone why Boo is the 14-12 champion. No one can stop Boo. Just as Majin Buu finishes his boastful declaration, the camera pans slightly to the side as Stone Cold Steve Austin, the Texas Rattlesnake himself, storms into the frame. The crowd in the arena, watching on the big screen, erupts into cheers at the sight of Austin. His signature scowl is fixed on Boo as he steps right up to the champion, not an ounce of fear in his eyes. "Is that so, you big pink bastard?" Austin growls, his voice dripping with intensity. "You think you're going to crush Stone Cold? Let me tell you something. You ain't got what it takes to keep this belt from me. You may be strong, but I've stomped mud holes in guys twice your size and walked them dry." The tension between the two competitors is electric as they stare each other down, inches apart. Boo's grin fades slightly as Austin's defiant words hang in the air. "Tonight, Boo, you're going to find out firsthand why Stone Cold Steve Austin is the toughest SOB in this business, and that's the bottom line, because Stone Cold said so." Before the confrontation can escalate further, another figure enters the scene. Bars, the leader of the anti-boiled egg brigade, struts into the frame with a sneer on his face. The crowd's reaction is mixed with confusion and amusement as Bars, true to form, interrupts the intense moment with his signature rant. "You two can yap all you want about this title match," Bars begins, his tone dripping with disdain. "But there's something way more important we need to address. Boiled eggs, man. Those disgusting, rubbery, stinking pieces of garbage that people actually eat. It's an abomination." Austin rolls his eyes, clearly unimpressed, while Majin Buu looks down at Bars with a mixture of confusion and irritation. "Bars, what the hell does boiled eggs have to do with this?" Austin snaps, his patience wearing thin. Bars, unfazed, continues his tirade. "Everything. Stone cold. Boiled eggs represent everything that's wrong with this world, just like those nasty frosted cookies and that vile chocolate ice cream. People are out here enjoying that filth when they should be focused on real issues, like how I'm going to take down anyone who stands by those eggs." Boo, seemingly fed up with Bars' ranting, steps forward, ready to end the conversation with a blast of energy, but Austin steps in between them, putting his hand up to stop Boo. "You know what, Bars?" Austin says, glaring at him. "I don't give a rat's ass about your boiled eggs, or your chocolate ice cream, or your damn frosted cookies. All I care about is kicking Boo's ass and taking that 14-12 championship. So why don't you take your egg-hating crusade and shove it where the sun don't shine?" Bars scoffs, crossing his arms and glaring back at Austin. "You just don't get it, man. But don't worry, when I'm done with my mission, there won't be a boiled egg left on this planet. And as for you, Boo, you better watch your back too. I've got my eyes on you." As Bars walks away, still muttering about boiled eggs, Austin turns his attention back to Majin Buu. The intensity in their stare-down returns, and the tension is thicker than ever. "You and me, Buu. Tonight, it's going down," Austin says, his voice low and menacing. Buu simply grins again, his confidence unshaken. "Buu will see you in the ring, Stone Cold. Buu will crush you." The segment ends with the two titans staring each other down, neither willing to back down. Grover, clearly unnerved by the tension, slowly backs out of the frame as the camera zooms in on Boo and Austin's faces, capturing the pure intensity of their upcoming clash. The screen fades to black, leaving the audience eagerly anticipating the 14-12 championship match that promises to be an explosive showdown. The 14-12 wrestling arena buzzes with anticipation as the next match on the card is announced, a chaotic four-way brawl featuring Cocaine Bear, Mac Tonight, Homer Simpson, and Zombie Mike Tyson. The commentary team hypes up the bizarre yet thrilling match, with Jim Ross noting, "Folks, this might be one of the most unpredictable matches we've ever seen in 14-12 wrestling. We've got a bear on cocaine, a moon-headed lounge singer, a beloved cartoon dad, and a zombie version of the baddest man on the planet." Before the competitors make their way to the ring, the camera cuts backstage where Grover is standing by with Homer Simpson and Mac Tonight for their pre-match interviews. First up is Homer Simpson, who looks as laid back and oblivious as ever. Grover, ever the professional, asks, "Homer, how do you feel heading into this match against such unique opponents?" Homer, scratching his head, replies, "Well, Grover, I'm not really sure what's going on, but I heard there would be donuts involved, and that's all the motivation I need. Plus, Marge said I need to get more exercise, so this counts, right?" Homer gives a thumbs up to the camera, clearly not fully grasping the intensity of the match he's about to enter. Next, Grover turns to Mac Tonight, the moon-headed mascot turned wrestler who exudes an air of cool confidence. "Mac, you're going up against some pretty wild competitors tonight. What's your game plan?" Mac, with his smooth, jazzy voice, responds, "Grover, it's simple, baby. I'm here to show the world that Mac Tonight isn't just about the late-night groove. I'm here to win. I've got the rhythm, I've got the moves, and tonight I'm going to shine brighter than any moon in the sky." He adjusts his sunglasses and smirks at the camera, exuding the charisma that made him a household name in the 1980s. With the interviews complete, the camera cuts back to the arena as the entrances begin. Cocaine Bear is the first to make his way to the ring, charging down the ramp with wild, erratic energy. The crowd roars with excitement, fully aware that the chaos is about to begin. Zombie Mike Tyson follows, lumbering to the ring with a menacing glare, his undead form still exuding the raw power that made him a boxing legend. Next, Mac Tonight's entrance music, an upbeat, jazzy tune, fills the arena as he glides down the ramp, his moon-shaped head bobbing to the rhythm. He waves to the crowd, maintaining his cool demeanor as he steps into the ring. Finally, Homer Simpson's iconic Spider Pig theme plays, and the crowd erupts in cheers as Homer ambles down the ramp, a goofy grin on his face. He waves at the fans, clearly more focused on finding a donut than on his opponents. The bell rings, and the match is underway. Cocaine Bear immediately charges at Zombie Mike Tyson, the two heavyweights clashing in a brutal exchange of blows. Tyson's undead strength is impressive, but Cocaine Bear's erratic and unpredictable movements make him a difficult target. Meanwhile, Mac Tonight and Homer Simpson square off in a more comedic exchange, with Homer attempting to slap Mac with a donut while Mac smoothly dodges the attack, showing off his agility. Jim Ross exclaims, "This match is all over the place. We've got Cocaine Bear and Zombie Mike Tyson in a slugfest, and over on the other side, Homer and Mac are, well, they're doing something, that's for sure." Elvira adds with a chuckle, "You've got to love Homer's enthusiasm. He may not be the most skilled wrestler, but you can't deny he's got heart and a love for donuts." As the match progresses, the chaos only intensifies. Cocaine Bear rams into Zombie Mike Tyson, sending him crashing into the turnbuckle with a powerful shoulder block. Mac Tonight, taking advantage of the situation, climbs to the top rope and attempts a high-flying move, but Cocaine Bear swats him out of the air with a mighty paw, sending Mac sprawling to the mat. Homer, seeing his chance, picks up the donut he had earlier, eyes it with delight, and then, in a rare moment of clarity, decides to use it as a weapon. He takes a running leap and smashes the donut into Mac Tonight's face, knocking the moon-headed mascot off his feet. Jim Ross can hardly believe what he's seeing. "By God, Homer just took out Mac Tonight with a donut. This is unbelievable." With Mac Tonight down, Homer sees an opening and quickly covers him for the pin. The referee drops to the mat and counts. 1, 2, 3. The bell rings, signaling the end of the match. "Here is your winner, Homer Simpson." Daphne Blake announces, her voice filled with surprise and amusement. Homer stands up, clearly as shocked as anyone that he actually won the match. He raises his arms in victory, a proud smile on his face as the crowd cheers for the unexpected victor. Elvira quips, "Well, that just happened." Homer Simpson just won a four-way match with a flying donut attack. Only in 1412 wrestling, folks. As Homer continues to celebrate, Cocaine Bear, still fueled by his erratic energy, begins pacing around the ring, eyeing Homer with a mixture of confusion and agitation. Zombie Mike Tyson, slowly recovering in the corner, glares at Homer, clearly not pleased with the outcome. The camera captures Mac Tonight as he rolls out of the ring, clutching his head and muttering something about needing to stick to late-night serenades. As the chaos in the ring starts to subside, the commentary team hypes up the next match, promising more unpredictable action as the night continues. The segment ends with Homer climbing the ropes to celebrate, still holding the half-eaten donut as if it were a trophy. The camera zooms in on his beaming face before cutting to a commercial break, leaving the audience buzzing with excitement over the bizarre yet entertaining match they just witnessed. The energy in the 1412 wrestling arena is electric as the next match on the card is announced. The Tick, the beloved and indomitable champion, defending his 1412 sword-fighting championship against the monstrous and malevolent Tyrannosaurus. The contrast between the two competitors could not be starker. The blue-suited, heroic Tick against the fearsome, demonic Tyrannosaurus, a creature of nightmares. The camera cuts to the Tick backstage, who is standing proudly with his sword in hand, ready to defend his title. Evildoers beware. The Tick is here to bring justice and valor to the ring. No dinosaur, no matter how satanic, can stand against the might of justice. The Tick's voice booms with confidence as he marches toward the ring. As the Tick makes his entrance, the crowd erupts in cheers. His familiar theme song plays as he waves to the fans, his usual heroic bravado on full display. But the cheers quickly turn to gasps as the lights dim and a sinister, growling sound fills the arena. The monstrous figure of Tyrannosaurus emerges from the shadows, his enormous size dwarfing the Tick as he approaches the ring. The beast's eyes glow with malice, and the ground seems to tremble with each of his steps. Jim Ross, on commentary, expresses the concern of many in the audience. My God, folks, I don't know how the Tick is going to handle this. Tyrannosaurus is an absolute monster. This could be the biggest challenge the Tick has ever faced. The bell rings, signaling the start of the match, and the Tick charges forward with his sword, ready to engage in an epic battle. But Tyrannosaurus doesn't even draw a weapon. Instead, he lets out a deafening roar and lunges at the Tick with his massive jaws. The Tick valiantly swings his sword, but it's like trying to chop down a mountain with a toothpick. Tyrannosatan's sheer size and power overwhelm him. Before the Tick can react, Tyrannosatan opens his gaping maw and, in one swift movement, swallows the Tick whole. The crowd is stunned into silence as the reality of what just happened sinks in. Tyrannosatan roars triumphantly, his victory both savage and effortless. Daphne Blake, in a voice tinged with disbelief, announces, "Here is your winner and the new 1412 sword fighting champion, Tyrannosatan." The crowd remains in shock as Tyrannosatan stands in the ring, victorious without even needing a sword. The once heroic champion, the Tick, is now inside the belly of the beast. Just when it seems like things couldn't get any more bizarre, the ominous sound of creaking metal fills the arena, and the sentient dumpster rolls out from backstage, heading toward the ring. The sentient dumpster, in its gravelly metallic voice, issues a challenge. Tyrannosatan, you may have devoured the Tick, but let's see how you fare in a real contest. I challenge you to a game of Madden 96 next week. The dumpster's challenge is met with a mix of confused murmurs and laughter from the audience. Suddenly, the familiar voice of the angry video game nerd cuts through the noise as he storms down the ramp, clearly irate. "Sports games are garbage," he declares, glaring at both Tyrannosatan and the sentient dumpster. "Madden 96? What a pile of crap. How about you challenge him to something that doesn't suck, like Street Fighter 2 or Contra?" Before the nerd can continue his tirade, Gray T, the self-proclaimed douchebag, makes his way to the ring, wearing his signature gray t-shirt. He grabs a microphone and, with an impassioned tone, declares, "You don't know what you're talking about, nerd. Madden is the greatest game ever made, and anyone who doesn't think so is just a hater. And yeah, I'm a douchebag, but at least I know how to appreciate a real game." The back and forth between the angry video game nerd and Gray T intensifies as they argue over the merits of Madden 96. The crowd is fully engaged, the absurdity of the situation creating a strange blend of tension and hilarity. But just as it seems like things are reaching a boiling point, the crowd erupts in surprise as Alf, the beloved alien from Melmac, makes his return to 1412 wrestling. Alf saunters down the ramp, holding the ancient relic that grants wishes, a powerful artifact he's used in the past to turn the tide of the most unusual situations. "Hey guys, what's all the racket about?" Alf quips as he reaches the ring. "You're arguing about Madden? Who cares about that? I've got something way better in mind." He raises the relic and, with a mischievous grin, declares, "I wish that Tyrannosatan would cough up the Tick so we can go grab some pizzas with Kevin McAllister." In an instant, the relic glows brightly, and Tyrannosatan suddenly begins to convulse. With a loud, unpleasant sound, he regurgitates the Tick, who lands in the ring with a thud, covered in slime but otherwise unharmed. The Tick, ever the optimist, slowly stands up, shaking off the goo, and says, "Well, that was unexpected." But justice prevails once again. He gives a thumbs up to Alf, who is grinning ear to ear. "Come on, Tick," Alf calls out. "Kevin's waiting for us, and I'm starving. Let's get out of here before anyone else decides to eat you." The segment ends with the Tick, Alf, and the still disoriented Kevin McAllister, who somehow appears as if summoned by Alf's wish, exiting the ring together, heading off to enjoy some well-deserved pizza. Meanwhile, Tyrannosaurus stands in the ring, still victorious as the new 1412 sword fighting champion, but clearly confused by the turn of events. The sentient dumpster and the angry video game nerd continue to argue with Gray T, setting up what promises to be another bizarre and entertaining confrontation in the weeks to come. The camera cuts to the commentary team, who are left trying to make sense of everything that just transpired. Jim Ross sums it up best, saying, "Folks, I don't even know what to say anymore. Only in 1412 wrestling could something like this happen." With that, the show cuts to commercial, leaving the audience both bewildered and entertained by the madness that is 1412 wrestling. The 1412 wrestling arena is electric as the crowd eagerly anticipates the main event of the evening. Majin Buu defending his 1412 championship against the relentless Stone Cold Steve Austin. The commentary team is buzzing with excitement, with Jim Ross leading the charge. Folks, this is the one we've all been waiting for. Majin Buu versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. Two of the most dominant forces in 1412 wrestling, colliding for the ultimate prize. As the bell tolls, the arena erupts in cheers as Stone Cold's iconic glass-shattering entrance theme blasts through the speakers. Austin storms down the ramp, his eyes locked on the ring, every step exuding determination and intensity. The crowd is solidly behind him, chanting his name as he climbs into the ring, staring down the current champion. Majin Buu's entrance is no less dramatic. His sinister theme music booms as he emerges from the entrance, the 1412 championship belt slung over his shoulder. Buu grins maniacally as he makes his way to the ring, confident and seemingly unfazed by the challenge ahead. His eyes glow with a dark energy, promising destruction. The two titans face off in the center of the ring, the tension palpable. The referee raises the championship belt high, signaling the stakes of the match, before calling for the bell to start the bout. From the outset, it's clear this match will be a brutal war. Austin wastes no time, immediately launching a flurry of punches at Buu, driving the champion back into the ropes. The crowd is on their feet as Austin pummels Buu with his signature brawling style, but Buu quickly counters with a massive headbutt that sends Austin reeling. Majin Buu capitalizes on the opening, delivering a series of crushing blows that showcase his immense strength. He whips Austin into the corner and charges at him with a thunderous splash, nearly flattening the Texas rattlesnake. Austin, however, refuses to stay down, retaliating with a swift kick to Buu's midsection and a Luthes press, raining down punches on the champion as the crowd roars. The match continues at a furious pace, with both competitors exchanging heavy blows and powerful maneuvers. Austin manages to hit Buu with a stunner, but before he can go for the pin, the anti-boiled egg brigade, led by Bars, rushes down to the ring, causing chaos. Bars and his brigade swarm the ring, trying to overwhelm Austin. The commentary team is livid, with Jim Ross shouting, "This is a damn travesty. Bars and his goons are trying to steal this match from Austin." Despite the odds, Austin fights back with everything he has, delivering stunners to each member of the brigade, one by one, as the crowd goes wild. Just when it seems Austin might overcome the interference, Majin Buu recovers and delivers a devastating Buu bomb to Austin, slamming him into the mat with brutal force. The referee counts 1, 2, 3. Majin Buu retains the 1412 championship, but the victory is tainted by the interference. As Buu raises his championship belt in triumph, Austin, despite being beaten, refuses to back down. With the last of his strength, he grabs Mr. Feeney, who has been watching from ringside, and uses him as a battering ram, smashing Buu in the face and knocking the champion off his feet. The crowd erupts in shock and laughter as Feeney, dazed but unharmed, stumbles out of the ring. Before the chaos can escalate further, the unmistakable sound of Hacksaw, Jim Duggan's entrance music, blares through the arena. The crowd explodes as Duggan charges down the ramp, his trusty 2x4 in hand. He slides into the ring and immediately starts swinging, taking out the remaining members of the anti-boiled egg brigade with his trademark weapon. Bars and his cronies are sent scrambling as Duggan clears the ring, restoring some order. With the brigade chased off, Duggan turns to Austin, offering a handshake and raising his 2x4 in a show of solidarity. But true to form, Austin isn't one for sentimental moments. As the crowd cheers their alliance, Austin suddenly kicks Duggan in the gut and delivers a stone-cold stunner, sending Duggan crashing to the mat. The audience is shocked but quickly bursts into a mix of laughter and applause, knowing Austin's unpredictable nature. Austin, now alone in the ring, celebrates with his trademark beer bash, cracking open a few cold ones and guzzling them down as the crowd chants his name. He raises the 1412 championship belt, which he had temporarily snatched from Buu, taunting the fallen champion who is slowly recovering outside the ring. As the show heads to commercial break, the final image is of Stone Cold Steve Austin standing tall in the center of the ring. the beer-soaked mat beneath him, and the 1412 championship belt held high above his head. Um, the message is clear. Despite Boo's victory tonight, the war between these two is far from over, and Austin is determined to claim the title for himself.
Closing.
As the wild and unpredictable night at 1412 Wrestling draws to a close, the commentary team takes their positions to recap the chaotic events that have unfolded. Mr. Feeney, Jim Ross, Elvira, and Pauly Shore are visibly shaken, yet energized by the night's insanity. Mr. Feeney, adjusting his tie and trying to maintain some semblance of order, begins. Ladies and gentlemen, what an extraordinary night of action we've witnessed here at 1412 Wrestling. From shocking upsets to brutal brawls, this has been a night to remember. Jim Ross, still buzzing from the excitement, adds, "By God, Feeney, we've seen it all tonight. From Stone Cold's relentless pursuit of the 1412 championship to the bizarre antics of the anti-boiled egg brigade, this is the wildest wrestling show on the planet." Elvira chimes in with her usual gothic flair, and don't forget the supernatural chaos that's been brewing. Majin Buu retains his title, but at what cost? The forces of darkness are stirring, and I can feel it in the air. Pauly Shore, ever the wild card, suddenly stands up on the commentary table. "Yo, dudes, this show is like a crazy acid trip, brother. I mean, what's next? Cows falling from the sky." As if on cue, the arena's lights suddenly dim, and the crowd buzzes with anticipation. The familiar music of Vegeta's theme blares through the speakers, causing the audience to erupt in cheers. Vegeta strides out onto the stage with a determined scowl, microphone in hand. "Golf cart, on point kings. Get your cowardly asses out here right now," Vegeta demands, his voice echoing throughout the arena. "I'm done playing games. It's time to settle this once and for all." Before anyone can respond, the pungent smell of marijuana wafts through the arena, and John 420 emerges onto the stage, accompanied by the Minotaur. The Minotaur snorts and stomps, ready for a fight, while John 420 takes a slow drag from his joint, exhaling a thick cloud of smoke. John 420 grins lazily. "Vegeta, bro. You need to chill, man. You want to throw down with the golf cart? Want to throw down with the golf cart? You're going to have to get through us first." The crowd cheers, but before John 420 can continue, the sound of searing metal cuts through the air. Suddenly, Bulma bursts onto the stage, wielding a flaming branding iron. Her face is a mask of fury as she charges at John 420 and the Minotaur. "How dare you threaten my husband?" Bulma screams, swinging the branding iron wildly. "I'm going to make you pay." The branding iron grazes John 420's arm, causing him to yelp and stumble backward, dropping his joint. The Minotaur roars in pain as Bulma strikes him across the chest, leaving a charred mark on his fur. As chaos erupts on the stage, the video screen lights up showing footage from moments earlier. The on-point kings, Santa Claus, Strong Bad, Strong Mad, and the Cheat are seen lying battered and bruised backstage. The camera reveals Bulma standing over them, her branding iron still glowing red hot. "This is what happens when you mess with the Saiyan Prince and his family," Bulma shouts at the screen, her voice filled with venom. Before anyone can process what's happening, Lady Gaga and Ariana Grande suddenly appear on the stage. Gaga, with her dark and twisted style, grabs a microphone. "Oh, Bulma, darling, you've just ignited the chaos we thrive on. You've played right into our hands." Ariana Grande steps forward, her eyes glinting mischievously. "We promised chaos, and now you'll all pay the price." Just then, Vice President Dana Scully's music hits, and she strides out to the stage, trying to restore order. "Enough! This madness ends now. As Vice President of 1412 Wrestling, I demand." But before she can finish, a thunderous noise echoes through the arena as a massive moose charges down the ramp, its antlers lowered in full attack mode. The 7-Up spot scurries ahead of it, trying to evade the moose's wrath. Scully, caught in the crossfire, is trampled as the moose barrels through, sending her flying off the stage. Jim Ross can barely contain his shock. "Good God Almighty! Good God! The moose just took out our vice president! This is pure pandemonium!" Suddenly, the arena plunges into darkness. The audience gasps as the lights flicker back on, revealing Earthworm Jim standing in the middle of the ring, microphone in hand, looking dead serious. "You know, I've had it up to here with these wet bandits. Earthworm Jim declares, pointing an accusatory finger toward the entrance ramp. Harry and Marv, I know what you really are, ancient time-traveling warlords from another galaxy, and I'm going to expose you for the frauds you are. But before Jim can continue, chaos truly reigns as cows begin to fall from the rafters, landing on the mat, the audience, and even on Earthworm Jim himself. The crowd is stunned into silence as one of the cows crushes Jim, who lets out a muffled yelp. Soda Popinski's theme music hits, and the Russian boxer storms out to the ring, fists clenched. Without hesitation, he begins knocking out the falling cows one by one, his powerful punches sending the bovines flying out of the ring. The arena erupts into laughter and applause, but the laughter is short-lived as Muhammad Ali's music suddenly hits. The greatest makes his way to the ring where Soda Popinski stands triumphantly over the fallen cows. Ali squares off with Soda Popinski, the tension thick in the air. Without a word, Ali unleashes a flurry of punches, knocking Soda Popinski out cold with a series of perfectly timed blows. The crowd goes wild as Ali raises his fists in victory. But the celebration is cut short as the sentient dumpster rolls down the ramp, its metallic voice booming through the arena. Muhammad Ali, you might be the greatest, but tonight you're just trash. The sentient dumpster taunts, causing the crowd to erupt in boos. The arena grows darker as Candyman's chilling music hits. The vengeful spirit emerges from the shadows, his hooked hand gleaming ominously. He makes his way to the commentary table, his eyes locked on Pauly Shore. You've been running your mouth for too long, Shore, Candyman growls. Now it's time to pay the price. Pauly Shore, visibly shaken, tries to back away, but he's stopped by Bloody Mary, who materializes behind him. Oh no, Candyman, Bloody Mary hisses. If anyone's going to take him down, it's going to be me. But first, I challenge you to a foot race through Area 51. Winner takes Pauly Shore's soul. Before Candyman can respond, the sound of X-Files theme music fills the arena, and Fox Mulder walks out onto the stage, microphone in hand. Area 51, huh? Now, what exactly is it that you two are planning to find there? Aliens? Government conspiracies? I want answers, and I want them now. The arena is in complete disarray as the camera cuts backstage where Woody, Buzz Lightyear, and Krang are gathered around a table, intensely focused on a game of triple threat chess. The board is covered in complex, alien symbols, and none of them seem to agree on the rules. Come on, Buzz, Woody says, exasperated. You're supposed to move the rook, not the spaceship. Well, excuse me, Sheriff, Buzz retorts, but this isn't exactly standard Earth chess, and besides, Krang's cheating. Before the argument can escalate, Beavis and Butthead suddenly burst into the room, their trademark snickers filling the air. Hey, where are the chicks? Beavis asks, looking around as if expecting a party. Yeah, where's the party? Butthead adds, grinning idiotically. The scene quickly devolves into chaos as Principal McVicker, their long-suffering high school principal, storms in, his face red with fury. That's it! I've had enough of your crap, boys. This is the last straw. McVicker begins chasing Beavis and Butthead around the room, the two teens laughing hysterically as they dodge his attempts to catch them. Woody, Buzz, and Krang look on in confusion, unsure of what to make of the situation. Meanwhile, back in the arena, the camera focuses on Mean Gene Okerlund, who has just emerged from backstage. Spotting Elvira at the commentary table, he approaches her with a charming smile. Elvira, darling, Gene begins suavely, how about you and I go grab a drink after the show? You know, a little something to take the edge off all this chaos. Elvira, clearly amused, raises an eyebrow and responds with a playful smile. Well, Gene, I might just take you up on that offer, but only if you promise to keep the ghouls at bay. As the two share a laugh, the camera zooms out to capture the utter mayhem that has taken over the 1412 wrestling arena. The fans are on their feet, some cheering, others in shock, as the swirling vortex of madness. Just when it seems like the chaos can't possibly escalate further, Bobby Budnick and Roger Klotz suddenly sprint out from the crowd. The two notorious bullies, grinning ear to ear, waste no time in joining the fray, shoving fans and wrestlers alike as they head toward the ring. Bobby Budnick, with his wild red hair and a mischievous gleam in his eye, grabs the microphone from Mean Gene Okerlund. All right, dweebs, Budnick shouts. This place is in need of some real attitude, and that's why we're here. Roger Klotz sneers, his green leather jacket catching the light. Yeah, Time to show these losers how it's done. We're taking over and there's nothing any of you can do about it. As Budnick and Klotz try to assert their dominance, the unmistakable sound of "You Can't Touch This" by MC Hammer blares through the speakers, and the crowd erupts. MC Hammer, in his signature baggy pants, moonwalks onto the stage, a swagger in his step. Yo, 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 MC Hammer shouts into the mic, "Hold up! You think you're taking over? Not while Hammer's in the house." Before Budnick and Klotz can react, Hammer leaps into the ring, and with an astonishing display of agility, he drop kicks both of them out of the squared circle. The crowd goes wild as Hammer dances in the center of the ring, showing off his famous moves, while Budnick and Klotz stagger to their feet, humiliated. Just as the audience starts to settle down, the chaos resumes when Alex Trebek, the suave and composed member of the golf cart crew, strolls out carrying a stack of Jeopardy cards. "Now, let's bring some class back to this show," Trebek announces, straightening his tie. How about we settle this madness with a trivia challenge? Anyone brave enough to step up? Before anyone can respond, the sentient surge soda vending machine rolls out from the back, rattling ominously as it approaches the ring. The machine, with its bright green lights flashing, suddenly blasts a torrent of surge cans at Trebek, knocking the cards from his hand. As Trebek scrambles to pick up the scattered cards, the machine's voice booms. "Surge! It's all about that surge, baby!" The crowd can't help but laugh at the absurdity as Trebek, now covered in surge, waves off the vending machine in frustration. But the absurdity is far from over. Gray tea? The self-proclaimed douchebag wearing, you guessed it, a gray t-shirt, swaggers down the ramp. He grabs a microphone, interrupting the vending machine. "Look, you can all laugh, but let's be real. There's nothing cooler than my gray tea, okay? And if anyone disagrees, you're just jealous." Gray tea strikes a pose, but before he can continue his monologue, he's blindsided by Kimmy Gibbler, who charges from the back, swinging a large purse. "Out of my way, Gray tea," Kimmy yells, smacking him across the head. "This is Gibbler style." Gray tea stumbles, clearly disoriented, as Kimmy continues to pummel him with her purse. The crowd is in hysterics, watching as Gray tea tries and fails to regain his cool demeanor. As the chaos continues to spiral out of control, El Dandy, the mustachioed luchador, makes his grand entrance. "Who are you to doubt, El Dandy?" he shouts as he dives into the ring, immediately taking on Budnick, Klotz, and Hammer with a flurry of high-flying moves. Meanwhile, Vegeta, who has been simmering on the sidelines, decides he's had enough of this lunacy. "I didn't come here to watch a circus," Vegeta roars. "I came here for a fight." He charges at the ring, prepared to lay waste to anyone in his path. But before he can enter, Bulma appears again, this time wielding a fire extinguisher. "Vegeta, stop!" Bulma screams as she sprays him with foam, trying to cool him down. "Save your strength for a real battle, not this ridiculousness." Vegeta, now covered in foam, glares at his wife. "Woman, you'd better have a good explanation for this." But before Bulma can respond, John 420, still recovering from his earlier run-in with Bulma, reappears on the stage, barely coherent. "Hey Vegeta, you're harshing my buzz, man." The moose from earlier charges through the crowd again, this time heading straight for the ring. It's still chasing the 7-Up spot, which darts around the ring with the moose hot on its heels. The moose collides with the ring post, sending the ropes shaking, while the 7-Up spot narrowly avoids being trampled. In the midst of the mayhem, Earthworm Jim, who had been crushed by the falling cows earlier, somehow manages to crawl out from under the debris. "You haven't seen the last of Earthworm Jim," he groans, staggering to his feet. But before Jim can even catch his breath, the moose inadvertently steps on him again while trying to catch the 7-Up spot, flattening him back into the mat. Muhammad Ali, still basking in the glory of knocking out Soda Popinski earlier, spots Earthworm Jim and raises an eyebrow. "Man, you really need to learn to stay down," Ali quips before helping Jim to his feet, only for a cow to come crashing down on them both. Soda Popinski, now recovering from his earlier knockout, re-enters the fray, looking for revenge. He throws a haymaker at Ali, who ducks just in time, causing Soda to accidentally punch a nearby cow instead, sending it flying out of the ring and into the audience. The crowd is in an uproar, and as Soda and Ali continue their slugfest, the sentient dumpster rolls back down the ramp, followed closely by Candyman. "You fools," the dumpster taunts. This is trash, pure trash. Candyman, however, is more focused on Bloody Mary, who's now in the ring, circling Pauly Shore. I accept your foot race challenge, Mary, Candyman declares. But first, I'll take care of Pauly Shore. Just as Candyman is about to lunge at Pauly, Fox Mulder's voice booms over the speakers. Wait! I need answers. What are you two really doing at Area 51? Tell me now. But before they can respond, the lights in the arena flicker once more, and suddenly, Woody and Buzz Lightyear are back in the ring, still bickering over their chess game. I told you, Woody, you can't move the spaceship like that, Buzz insists. Before Woody can retort, Beavis and Butthead burst into the ring, still fleeing from Principal McVicker, who's brandishing a ruler. Hey, Beavis, I think this guy's serious, Butthead laughs as they dodge McVicker's swipes. In the midst of all this, mean Gene Okerlund, who had been watching the chaos unfold from the sidelines, shakes his head in disbelief. Well, Elvira, I think that drink is looking better and better by the minute. Elvira, still seated at the commentary table, smirks and replies, You know, Gene, I think you might be right. As the chaos in the ring reaches its peak, Jim Ross finally stands up at the commentary table, trying desperately to bring some order back to the broadcast. Folks, I don't know how to describe what we've just witnessed here tonight, but let's take a moment to recognize our current champions. Ross quickly recaps Majin Buu, the 1412 champion, Katharine Isabelle, the Divas champion, Shredder, the laser gun surfing battle champion, Heifer Wolf, the competitive eating champion, Raphael, Donatello, Michelangelo, and Joey Tribbiani, the stable champions, Tyrannosatin, the sword fighting champion, and Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan are tag team champions. As Ross finishes the recap, the camera zooms out to capture the absolute bedlam in the arena. Vegeta, Bulma, John 420, Bobby Budnick, Roger Klotz, MC Hammer, Alex Trebek, the Sentient Surge soda vending machine, Gray T, Kimmy Gibbler, El Dandy, Earthworm Jim, Muhammad Ali, Soda Popinski, Candyman, Bloody Mary, Fox Mulder, Woody, Buzz Lightyear, Beavis, Butthead, Principal McVicker, and countless others are all engaged in a massive brawl. The crowd is on its feet, some cheering, some stunned, as the chaos shows no signs of abating. Just as the credits start to roll, the screen goes black, leaving the audience eagerly anticipating what could possibly happen next in the world of 1412 wrestling.